viewers. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss amplitude modulation. Before we delve right into the topic, let us first see the brief history of amplitude modulation. A Canadian engineer named Reginald Fessenden was first to transmit an amplitude modulated signal. He took a continuous spark transmission and placed one carbon microphone in the antenna lead. The sound waves caused an impact on the microphone, thus varied its resistance and intensity of the transmission. Although crude but fairly audible signals were received over a few hundred meters distance, although noise was also present due to the spark in the signal. Amplitude modulation. Amplitude modulation can be defined as a process in which the amplitude of the carrier wave CT is varied about a mean value linearly with the baseband signal MT. In amplitude modulation, the amplitude or the strength of the carrier oscillations is varied. One such example is in AM radio communication, a continuous wave radio frequency signal, that is, a sinusoidal carrier wave, has its amplitude modulated by an audio waveform before transmission. This audio waveform modifies the amplitude of the carrier wave and determines the envelope of the waveform. In the frequency domain, amplitude modulation generates a signal with the power concentrated at the carrier frequency and two adjacent sidebands. Standard AM is thus sometimes called double sideband amplitude modulation or DSB-AM and single sideband amplitude modulation or SSAM. One simple form of amplitude modulation is the speech signal transmission from the traditional analog telephone set using a common battery local loop. Amplitude modulation is denoted by the equations ST is equal to XT cos omega CT plus A cos omega CT. This is equation 1. This can be further simplified to ST is equal to XT plus A whole multiplied by cos omega CT. This is equation 2. Now let us discuss the advantages and disadvantages of amplitude modulation. Advantages. It is simple to implement. It can be demodulated using a circuit consisting of very few components. AM receivers are very cheap as no specialized components are needed. Disadvantages. It is not efficient in terms of its power usage. It is not efficient in terms of its use of bandwidth, requiring a bandwidth equal to twice that of the highest audio frequency. It is prone to high levels of noise because most noise is amplitude based and obviously AM detectors are sensitive to it. In today's lecture, we have learned Introduction and History of Amplitude Modulation, Equation of Amplitude Modulation, Advantages and Disadvantages of Amplitude Modulation. With that, we are at the end of this lecture. We will meet again in the next lecture. Till then, learn and practice. Thank you and goodbye.